Over the last 7 decades, the internal map of India has been in a constant state of flux. Borders are drawn, erased, and redrawn, fracturing and reforming to create entirely new states out of thin air. This creates a constitutional paradox. The Union Parliament possesses the unilateral authority to wipe an entire state off the map or alter its boundaries without that state's binding consent. The legal mechanics authorizing this immense centralized power are concentrated entirely within the very first pages of this book, specifically Articles 1 through 4. To understand how the Republic's territory is managed, we must treat Part 1 as a sequential logical proof, reading Articles 1, 2, 3, and 4 as a step-by-step foundation. These 4 articles establish the legal hierarchy that governs India's political reality, and they provide the primary material for the most frequently misanswered conceptual questions in the UPSC prelims. Article 1 establishes the nation's dual identity and legal structure. The text declares, India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. This distinction hinges on the source of authority. In a true federation, distinct sovereign entities voluntarily come together to form a nation. In India's union, the outer border is rigidly locked, while the internal divisions remain fluid. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar explicitly chose the word union to clarify that Indian states never signed an agreement to join the Republic, and consequently, they possess zero legal right to secede from it. Article 1 defines the territory of India into 3 strict classifications: states, union territories, and future acquired territories. Note the distinction. The Union of India refers only to states, while territory encompasses all 3. Article 1 effectively builds an indestructible container. It defines the names, locks the external perimeter, and maintains the internal states within the Union. Once that perimeter is established, Article 2 dictates how things enter it. This provision applies to territories that currently exist outside the Indian Union. Prior to 1975, Sikkim was an independent protectorate. Article 2 provided the constitutional mechanism to pull it across the border into the Republic. Parliament has 2 powers here: to admit an established state or establish a new state. Article 2 acts as the outward-facing door to the Constitution, handling external geopolitics and the initial entry into the Republic. If Article 2 faces outward, Article 3 looks inward. This is the mechanism for reorganizing the states that already exist within the Union. Article 3 grants Parliament 5 powers: to create, increase, decrease, or alter boundaries or change state names. Such bills require the President's prior recommendation. Crucially, while the affected state legislature is consulted, Parliament can simply ignore its views and proceed anyway. Entire populations can be reorganized and historical borders erased through top-down mandates from the center, regardless of local legislative resistance. Article 3 codifies the principle of an indestructible union composed of destructible states, placing ultimate geopolitical supremacy with the center. Altering state borders creates massive administrative fallout. The moment a map is changed under Articles 2 or 3, it disrupts existing parliamentary seat allocations and invalidates constitutional schedules. Article 4 automatically authorizes Parliament to fix those consequential disruptions. It allows the center to update the 1st and 4th schedules without passing separate standalone laws. This illustrates a paramount legal exception.
Article 4 protects these reorganization laws from being classified as formal constitutional amendments under Article 368. Because it avoids Article 368, Parliament doesn't need to secure a complex supermajority. They can redraw the map of India using a simple legislative majority. Article 4 provides the procedural lubricant, ensuring the Union's power to adapt its internal map is never paralyzed by rigid constitutional requirements. Article 1 identifies the nation. Article 2 admits new territory. Article 3 reorganizes existing states. And Article 4 adjusts the administrative paperwork. Let's review the critical conceptual distinctions. Is state consent compulsory to change a border? No. Does reorganizing a state count as a formal constitutional amendment under Article 368? No. And finally, is India a federation? No. It is an indestructible union of states. we have established the physical container of the Republic and mapped its internal architecture. The next step is to determine exactly who legally belongs inside these borders. In our next module, we transition from defining the land to defining the people by breaking down Articles 5 through 11 and the mechanics of Indian citizenship.